Hello, I am Mystic Orange and this is video hashtag 642. In this video, I'll be ranking the voices from Winx Club. This time, I'm gonna talk about the specialist minus Nabu. So this includes Sky, Brandon, Riven, Timmy, and Helia. I did this for the main six girls, so make sure to check that out. I will link in the description in this video. So, I'm focusing on the five main specialists of Winx Club, but minus Nabu because he only shows up like in the second movie. He doesn't show up in the first movie, even though he shows up like in a cameo or whatever. Maybe one day I will do this for Nabu the Tricks and maybe Arendar who showed up in the second movie, but that will happen way in the future. Now let's get into this. Just so you know, we're comparing specialists of the four main dubs. Just like how we did for the other Winx characters. So that's for Kids, Cinelume, Nickelodeon, and Dubbing Brothers. So I think we're gonna start this off by talking about Sky. So anyway, Sky has four versions of him throughout these dubs. However, at the first spot, this might be disappointing for you guys, but I will have to put the Ray Sky at the first spot for me. Remember, I'm not only ranking their voices, I'm ranking their personality by these voices. Because I think each dub, presents a different personality. And honestly, the Ray Sky is what I find the most hate-worthy of the lot. And it's because, I think it's easier to compare Nickelodeon, Ray, and Cinelume version of Sky. Especially during like season 1 and 2. I think really Sky is at worst here. And I think it's how, how Sky handles the situation when Bloom, finds out that, he changed identity with Brandon, and she found out that he had a fiance with Diaspora. But it's just his behavior that I don't like. He seems really gaslighting. He's the one who's in trouble between the two girls, and he seemed like someone. He seemed like too much of a goody two shoe or white knight. Those are the words that I can describe him. I understand that he's a prince of Heraklion, but that personality really sheds through with his rape, personality. He seemed like a stuck-up, holier than you kind of character. And all of the days mentioned, like I've watched Wings Forever podcast, and I've also made this point as well. Even before the incidents or after, all of the days are always terrible because this guy always draws his attention to himself. I don't know what to say, but this version of Sky, is the most narcissistic of them lot. That's the vibe I'm getting with this version of Sky, and he has that superiority complex that I'm guessing. And it also gives me a sexist vibe. There are times where I'm thinking he's surprised when Bloom, leaves a plan and he's shocked about that, he can't handle it. He can't handle that Bloom is doing the best job, even without her powers, and she can do everything, and he seems like an ass about it. So that's my first spot. Now let's move on to my third spot. Which version of Sky would I put here? For me, I would have to place the Dubbing Brothers Sky, or Movie Sky if you want to put it. And for me, with this guy, he does seem whimsical and airy. He seems a little bit poetic. With this guy, I'm getting the vibe of someone riding a horse, like a prince riding a horse to save a princess. That's the vibe I'm getting. He also gives a little bit of a Ken personality, or like a Barbie personality. Like if you compare this prince to the other princess in Disney, like in Cinderella, Snow White, or Sleeping Beauty, you can see the similarities there, and that's the vibe I'm getting. Unfortunately, like this version of Sky isn't noteworthy enough, so I can't place this guy higher than it should be. So anyway, at second spot, I would have to place Nickelodeon Sky. I have to be honestly say that I do have a soft spot with this guy. I don't know what vibe you guys have for this guy, but this might be different for me. For me, with this guy, I'm getting like a softie, like a high school friend from school. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. Like this guy doesn't try to be perfect. In fact, he's far from perfect, and that's the vibe I'm getting. Like he seems awkward, stumbly sometimes. And this sort of guy, is sort of guy you want to give a hug to. He looks like he wants to try with Bloom or whatever. That's the vibe I'm getting. He's not perfect, but I think that's what makes him perfect. Yeah, I kind of have a soft spot with this one. I think the voice actor does a great job with this Sky. At best with this guy, he is harmless. He can't do anything wrong to you. But at top spot, for me, it has to be no one other than Focus Sky. And Focus Sky does have a nickname to him. He is also known as Dan Green Sky. And if you don't know, Dan Green is the voice actor of Yu-Gi-Oh! For this guy, I have a hard time hating Sky overall because the voice actor for this one does a great job of voicing him. Like if I had to compare him to like Cinelume Sky, that's the thing I would say. And there are two types of people who would be raised by this guy. You are either a Cinelume person raised by this one, or a Focus person raised by this one, or maybe a Nickelodeon one, or Dublin Brothers, whatever. But I'm mostly looking at like the people who say they hate Sky, and it's usually the ones that grew up with the Cinelume one. So they are most likely going to say they hate Sky. But I think for me, the ones that grew up with Focus, we're a little bit more empathetic for this guy. We're a little bit more forgiving of him. I think with both Sky, he committed the similar crimes as each other. But I think, Dan Green Sky, he like the voice actor does a good job of like making himself seem sorry about the situation he did towards Bloom. I still think he needs to do this for Diaspora and be kind to her. But you can tell like this Sky, here's a foundation of what a good Sky is. And comparing to the dates that Cinelume Sky has with Bloom, this Sky does a really good job of like dating with Bloom. Like all the dates are so significantly better. Like the dates, like Sky is listening and being attentive to Bloom. Like when she's worrying, like he's not just talking about himself. And it's so breathtaking listening to him. It's so calm and peaceful. Like, yeah. So you can't, forget. People might like Sky because of this one. So all that considered, this is why the Focus Sky is a top spot for me. The next character we're trying to rank is Brandon's voice. And for Brandon, he actually has 5 voices. We know about Dubbing Brothers, Focus, and Nickelodeon, but in the Sinloon version, even though he has the same voices throughout Sinaloom, There is that moment in like season 4 where he has a complete different voice, and I think I want to point that out. And I'm gonna have to put that voice at first spot. In the first spot, it's the season 4 Brandon that he has throughout like the later part of the season. And I had to say, I do not like this voice on Brandon. He sounds like an old man, like a middle-aged man. It did not suit him whatsoever. I picture Brandon as someone who is very attractive, who's sexy and all that. This voice is just isn't sexy for Brandon. It's just ew, no. At first spot, I would have to place movie Brandon. I feel like all out of all the specialists, Brandon's voice seems the least noteworthy out of them lot. So I don't feel like I've been exposed to his voice in the movie, like I have been with like Sky, Timmy, or Riven. Brandon, I don't think is there. However, in the third spot, I will play Cineloom Brandon. He does seem fine with his voice. He does sound charismatic. I think for the other voices for Brandon, he does sound charismatic. I think out of the three remaining Brandons, I find this Brandon the least sexy. It's because I think it's the lines they gave him in the Cineloom version. I have to be honest with you, I don't think the writers of Cineloom know how to write charismatic characters or, write sexy lines, especially for characters like Brandon, when his purpose is to sound sexy and allure women, like allure the female audience. And there are so many moments where, especially in the first season, where they give him the cringiest dialogues. Yeah, it's very weird. But also, there's that one scene in like episode 7 where the girls are grounded and they invite the boys. And there's this bit where Brandon gives Stella a kiss. It's just so awkward, and I did not enjoy that. In second spot, I would have to place Nickelodeon Brandon. I think he does a great job of making Brandon sound really sexy and very charismatic. You really sense Brandon being sensitive and thoughtful towards Stella. He's very patient with others. I think my favorite moment of Nickelodeon Brandon is where like Flora and Misa invite Brandon over, to check up on like baby Stella in season 5. This kind of proves to me that this version of Brandon would handle a child. So this makes me think like he would make a good like parental figure, which it adds to his attraction. So if you want a future husband, Nickelodeon Brandon would be the best option for you. But at the first spot, it has to be Focus Brandon. I'm sorry, but I know I'm biased, but I'm being basing on facts here. It's not just how Brandon is with Stella, but how he is with everyone. It, I feel like this version of Brandon, like, he just gets along with everyone. Like anyone can be his friend. He looks out for other people. Even like talking to other characters like Misa during the Wildland moments. Honestly, I feel like that's the best portrayal of Foky's Brandon is when he did interact with Misa in the Wildlands scene. But also not to forget like the moments in like Queen Amencia in Downland. Like his voice roles was really impactful and emotional. And to back in that moment where like Brandon gave Stella a kiss, and when they were grounded, this version was so much better done than what how it happened in Cinderly. It's just whimsical and airy. You can just flutter your heart by melting in his way of kissing. So on that basis, this is why Focus Brandon is at top spot for me. The next character we're going to rank is Raven's voices. And at first spot, this might be surprising to you guys, but for me, I would have to place the Fox's Raven at first spot. I'm gonna honest with you. I find most of the dialogues they give him in the Fox's dub is really cringy, especially in season 1. Like, must we forget about the famous spelled episode? Oh my god, those lines that they give Raven, it makes it makes my skin crawl. Like whenever he interacts with Darcy, Sky, or Musa, it's very cringy. Like he refers to Darcy as babe, and whenever he's having a concert with Sky, they give him a cringy dialogue, like, oh, these are my true friends. It just sounds awkward and weird. Or when he tells Misa, I don't think so, I'm with Darcy now. It's just so weird. Also, not to mention like the numerous times he has a contact with Darcy, and Darcy calls him like puppy dog. Yes, it's so weird. And I say this as a fucking stan. I just don't think they give Riven justice in this dub. At the third spot, I would have to place Nickelodeon Riven. Similar to Fox's Riven, I also think they give him cringy dialogue, but this is mostly present in like season 6. I mean, the most cringiest line I can think of right now from the Nickelodeon Riven is when he says, come to Papa. It's just no, please never do that again or say that again, please. But I think Nickelodeon does a better job at not making Riven as cringy as he is in the Foxy's version. But he does have his fair moments of showing this. And at second spot, I can't believe I'm putting this, but movie Riven is at second spot. And you know what? I actually don't have any problems with movie Riven. I think he sounds pretty fine. And honestly, I think this is the direction they could have gone with Riven. I actually do like his kind of attitude. His one thing to know is that like he does. There's a difference between a rude character and a grumpy character, and I think movie Riven it comes across as grumpy, not rude. That's the vibe I'm getting. And I think this is the direction they could have gone with Riven throughout Winx Club series, because I think that's the vibe I think they were trying to get with Riven, because rudeness isn't attractive, but grumpiness is. And honestly, like when he's brooding like this in the movies, it is kind of like it does bring a spark to you, like you are drawn to his broodiness. And I feel like this portrays his lone wolf personality a bit better than the other versions. And at first spot, I think Ray Riven, Cinnamon Riven's at top spot here for me. I think what the thing about this Riven, I don't think he does anything wrong. Yes, I think he probably does have his like fair share of bad moments, but I think there are moments in Cinnamon Riven where like he does try hard, especially with Misa. And at times I feel like Misa is usually in the wrong, but with Riven, I think he just tries to do better, especially in moments in like season 2, 3, and 4. When he's trying to actually be better. I think someone mentioned it in like Wiz Forever podcast. There are moments like Riven is trying hard to be nice to Misa, like complimenting Misa's hat in that Wildland episode. or like when he's trying to help Misa with the motorbike, but Misa keeps being mean to him about it. And when he tries hard, giving flowers and chocolate to Misa, but Misa is always grumpy about it. So I kind of empathize with Ray Riven, and I think what I would be happy if he was included in the main show. The next character we're going to talk about is Timmy, and I think I'm gonna rank his voice this time. And honestly, all of the voice actors really portrayed Timmy really well. I mean, how hard can it be to voice a nerdy character? Not only that, but I can imagine many other actors to voice Timmy. I mean, it should be pretty easy to choose someone for Timmy. And I can think of so many actors who can voice Timmy if they want to. Like in Victorious, whoever portrayed Robbie or St. John could totally voice Timmy. As well as in Harry Potter, the person who portrayed Harry Potter could also portray Timmy. Like, you can go all out with Timmy, it's pretty easy to do. So anyway, at first spot, I'm gonna have to place for Kiss Timmy. I think his voice is alright. I think he does an excellent job at voicing Timmy. But the reason why I put this Timmy at the bottom is because, well, firstly, I think the voice actor also portrays Palladium, and I think he portrays Palladium better than Timmy. That's just my first point. And secondly, for Timmy, I think this voice actor, what makes Timmy seem a little bit high pitched in some scenes. Like his voicing does make Timmy seem a little bit loud at times. I think at third spot I would have to place Nickelodeon Timmy. I thought really hard about the last remaining Timmys, and they're all really good, including this one. And the Focus Timmy was also really good. It was hard deciding where to place them. But the reason why I put Nickelodeon Timmy here, I think if I had to be really critical, I do think this Timmy, like the voice actor who portrays him, it does seem rather tame in his performance. Like I thought I thought the Focus one was too loud. For Nickelodeon Timmy, I think he's too calm, I guess. What we know about Timmy is that we know that he's neurotic and he has a lot going on. He's portrayed as someone who's a bit cowardice out of the specialists. And I think with this voice, it doesn't really convey that much. I think there are moments in season 6 where you can tell that, he is a bit awkward and, nervous sometimes, but it doesn't always show that throughout. He seems a little bit too professional for my liking. I think our second spot, this is going to be surprising to everyone else to know who's at my first spot. But our second spot, I will have to put a Cinnalum to me. I think I also find, his performance is really great throughout his time. I think he does a great job of balancing Timmy's loudness and Timmy's calmness. But I also think there are moments where I feel like he's too rational, he's too calm in situations. Knowing about Timmy, like he can get neurotic sometimes. I think his, for example, the advice he gave Sky during Sky, he wanted to talk about, Blue Man Diaspora coming to his event in season 1. But I feel like I like that Timmy did give a calm response to Sky, but I also feel like it's not in character for Timmy to give a sound advice. Because he's the one who's not good at relationships. So I would expect him to give him a bad advice. You see what I mean? And at first, but I know this is surprising, but I'm gonna have to place the movie Timmy at first spot. And here's a reason. I think movie Timmy, I have a lot of fun with when I'm listening to his voice. And it's hard to explain. I think when I'm thinking of his voice, I think of him like, like a stereotypical person who dishes out to another person. He seems a little bit more sassy, witty. Like there was at one time when he like sassed Bloom. I thought that was really funny about him joking about Bloom's parents dying or whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. So I like that Timmy can be a bit of a bitch in this version. And he gives me the vibe that, he'd be the one to troll on the internet. Like, here's that stereotype. You think he's neurotic all the time, but Timmy has a side to him. So, on that basis, because I had so much fun with movie Timmy, this is why this is at first spot for me. The next character we're going to rank is Helia's voice. And here's the last one who we're going to rank for this video. So anyway, at first spot, I would have to place movie Helia. Like movie Brandon, I also feel like Helia didn't have an important role in the movies. You barely recognize him in the movies. He does sound poetic at times when he's like addressing Chief Flora, but it's not that much. And at third spot, I would have to place Fox's Helia. I think for me, the Fox's Helia doesn't seem like a correct voice for Helia. If I had to be honest, like the voice for Helia in the Fox's dub seems a little bit too white for my liking. He doesn't sound Asian for me. And I feel like in Fox's dub anyway, we get minimal role for Helia because he doesn't show up that much in the third season. And we don't get season 4 onwards. And even in season 2, Helia's voice doesn't seem remarkable. It does feel like an afterthought of, voicing Helia. And our second spot, I would have to place Nickelodeon Helia. I actually have no problem with Helia. I think he sounds fine. He's very calm and, chill. So for the most part, I actually do like Nickelodeon Helia. However, in the first spot, I would have to place Cinelim Helia. To me, I feel like this Helia sounds a perfect for Helia. He does sound like Asian. That's the portrayal I get from this version of Helia that I can't get from anyone else. So, in my opinion, Cinelim Helia is perfection. So anyway, there you have it. This is my ranking of the voices of specialists. So what do you think? Do you like these rankings? Do you agree with these rankings? How would you rank them yourself? If you want to, you can share it in the comments down below. And if you want to, you can check my other ranking video where I rank the voices of the Winx girls. I think in the next ranking video, I'm gonna voice the teachers in the Winx Club. So mainly Faragonda, Griselda, Palladium, and Whizgiz. I don't know if I'm gonna talk about the Cloud Tower or the Red Fountain teachers. I don't think they show up in the first movie. Maybe I will talk about them one day if I watch the second movie. Anyway, I guess that's it. If you really like this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and have a lovely day.